Oh! Oh, oh shit. Oh my god. Whew. Oh my god. I swear, I'm not losing my mind. That's just the side effect of Scary Movie 5. It's so bad that even when you think about it, you feel like you're losing your fucking marbles because there's so many things in this, so many attempts at comedy that are so insane and idiotic that they honestly come across as manic delusions. They don't make any fucking sense. And if you see my face and you think it looks like it's been rubbed with sandpaper and my skin's flaking off, that's another side effect of Scary Movie 5. It sucks your soul right out of your body. And as a result, your skin starts to flake. Because it's being sucked dry. Let's get this shit over with. Because the more I think about this movie, the more I'm going to feel physically ill. Because that's actually what happened while I was watching this film. It was so bad that I got a headache about halfway through. I can feel a headache coming on right now. And I had to stop it like an hour in or like 45 minutes in because it was making me sick to my stomach because I was getting so stressed out because I hated the experience so much. I know it's been said before, but I'll say it again. This is one of those films that's so bad that it does feel like you're being tortured in hell. This sequel is so shitty it deserves its own level of hell, where this film is just played on a loop for all eternity while you're strapped to a fucking chair and your eyes are being pulled wide open by some force, just like Malcolm McDowell's character in A Clockwork Orange. It's that painful to sit through and to experience. It's like you're watching not only the death of this franchise, but also the death of comedy itself. And there's nothing you can do about it except just watch as the writers and the director of this film murder comedy in graphic, brutal detail. So it's directed by Malcolm D. Lee, who actually is not the main director because apparently he didn't even direct the majority of the movie because most of the film was actually directed by David Zucker, who's not even credited. At some point, he decided to take over and directed a bunch of new scenes, and Malcolm D. Lee's sequences are not really as prevalent in the film compared to his reshoots. David Zucker at this point might as well be called David Sucker Punch because he's sucker punching people in the genitals and right in the face with his shitty directing and his shitty attempts at comedy. Did he make a deal with the devil to do Airplane and the Naked Gun films and Kentucky Fried Movie with Jim Abrams, and then by the time the Scary Movie sequels came along, it was time to collect? And the devil took away his comedic talent and then forced him to direct and write these shitty sequels? and put a stain on his career? Because that's what it seems like. The scenes that David Zucker directed were just as much of a sucker punch as all of his other directing and the other shitty sequels in this series. And the writing. This is some of the worst writing I have ever seen in any movie that is trying to be a comedy, a spoof, a parody. I mean, there's lazy, there's lowest common denominator, there's bottom of the barrel, and then there's this. Then there's this screenplay by Pat Proft and David Zucker. So once again, you have a random mishmash of parodies that don't connect well with one another. So you've got a Paranormal Activity parody. You've got a Mama parody. You've got a fucking Black Swan parody. Why? Because Black Swan was popular at the time. That's why. You've got a parody of Rise of the Planet of the Apes because you have a talking ape named Caesar. Does it make any sense that it's there? No! Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense anymore after watching Scary Movie 5. I don't even know what comedy is. What is comedy? Can you please tell me what comedy is? Because I think I forgot. I don't even know if I can even laugh again. All I want to do is cry. So it starts out with this sex tape sequence with Charlie Sheen and Lindsay Lohan. Charlie Sheen's a repeat offender here in this franchise. I swear at this point in his career, he would suck a dick for a quarter. So I'm not surprised that he is in this movie. So he plays himself, and Lindsay Lohan also plays herself, and man, does she look busted as hell here. I mean, god damn, she looks rough. And they have sex, and then everything just goes into fast forward mode, and the Benny Hill score plays in the background, and you got little people coming into the bed, and clowns, and a horse, and Lindsay Lohan is doing acrobatics like she's in Cirque du Soleil. I'm just like, I'm flabbergasted. I'm dumbfounded. I'm like, what is this? What the fuck am I watching? Just like, I, God. So you have that opening sequence. They have sex and fast forward with little people and fucking clowns and horses, and some supernatural force pulls Charlie Sheen out of the room, and then Lindsay Lohan gets possessed and she kills him. You find out that he had kids and those kids went missing, and then you cut to a sequence with Snoop Dogg and Mac Miller, and they're going to the woods to try to find some weed plants, and then they run into a cabin in the woods, and then you have this really atrocious, absolutely awful attempt at comedy where Mac Miller is talking about a cabin in the woods, and it's this really unfunny, tired Lionel-rama bullshit that I fucking hate, where they think if they repeat things over and over again, it's funny. Here's a news flash. It's not funny! Just because you repeat cabin in the woods. What, that cabin in the woods? Not that cabin in the woods. Oh, the one with the blah blah blah? The what? The one with the hockey mask? Or the one with the da-da-da-da? No, the one with my foot in your ass! How about that one? How about that cabin in the woods? How about the one where I fucking pistol whip your ass to death? How about the one where I take my dick and make it super strong, wrap it around your fucking neck, and choke you out? How about that fucking cabin in the woods? Shut the fuck up about the cabin in the woods. So they go to the cabin in the woods. They have this really bad, equally unfunny scene where they are having a standoff and they have all these different guns. And then they run into the kids that went missing and they're now feral because it's the mama parody. Snoop Dogg talks about some shit about going to a yacht and having a shark in a jacuzzi, which definitely plays into the film later because this is one of those movies that has 0 brain cells. So, okay, you have the cabin in the woods, Snoop Dogg and Mac Miller. They don't fucking die, which would have been nice because they were annoying, but okay, they live. You've got the 3 kids, and one acts like a dog and is so feral that she doesn't know how to do things properly when it comes to acting like a human being. She's chewing on things, even peeing on stuff, humping people's legs, shoving things up her ass and smelling it and going, oh, and then falling over. And the other kids are a little bit less feral, but they still have their moments. Charlie Sheen has a brother named Dan, who's played by Simon Rex, who returns to this franchise and makes me want to retch all over again. Because he fucking sucks. And they make him do even more physical comedy here and give him even more of a role here. And it is just so obvious that this guy just doesn't have it. He has all the charisma and personality of a wet napkin. So you have Dan, and then he has a wife named Jody, played by Ashley Tisdale, because not even Anna Faris was willing to come back for Scary Movie 5, because she probably took one look at the script and threw up. Or had to go to the bathroom. Because it was so bad and gave her diarrhea. It's just like, nope, not even for $1 million. I ain't doing that shit. No thank you. So yeah, you have Ashley Tisdale, who's nowhere near as endearingly goofy or dumb as Anna Faris. She just comes across as a poor woman's Anna Faris. I try to have her do the same gags and the same shit, and it's nowhere near as clever or as entertaining. So they go to collect the kids. They decide to stay in some suburban home with security cameras because that's a part of the deal to adopt them. And then there's a bullshit Black Swan parody thrown in there with Molly Shannon as some overweight ballet dancer because haha, that's so funny. She's overweight and she's got a belly and she smokes and she drinks and and she's old. Just like the jokes in this movie that get old so fast that they die on the screen. and they waste away like Donovan at the end of The Last Crusade. So yeah, you have the Black Swan parody that has no reason to be here. Then there's the Paranormal Activity stuff where things move by themselves, pots and pans, that whole 9 yards. There's a Mexican or Hispanic maid who comes into the picture, and there's a whole gag about her trying to exorcise the demons out of the house with crucifixes and candles. And oh, it's so fucking hilarious because she's got one small crucifix and then she comes out with a big ass crucifix. Might as well be a big ass middle finger that she carries on her shoulder and shows to the fucking camera. Because all this movie does is tell you to go fuck yourself. Because you could be doing way more productive things with your time than watching Scary Movie 5. You could be watching Scary Movie 2, which is actually fucking funny. You could be watching literally any other comedy. At least one that isn't a Seltzer Burger fucking production, like Disaster Movie. But even some of the worst comedies I've seen in the past few years, most of them are nowhere near as bad as this. They're lame. They're not that funny. But they're way more tolerable. And there's actually an effort put into things. In terms of the comedy. Because this seems to think, oh, Hispanic lady. Oh, she's funny because she's fat and then she twerks. Oh, it's funny because she decides to sleep with the pool cleaner. Oh, speaking of pool cleaners, there's a scene in this movie where the supernatural force possesses a bunch of pool cleaners and they have a pool party. Yeah, pool cleaners come to life, have a pool party. They play beer pong, they get wasted, they get blackout drunk. They mac on and make out with vacuum cleaners that for some reason have boobs on them. The vacuum cleaners have tits. And they get drunk and they pass out and they puke. This is the kind of shit that I honestly didn't even dream of when I had a high fever. I've never had fever dreams that are this ridiculous, this stupid, this inane. Fucking pool cleaners? Have a pool party? And they dance with vacuum cleaners with tits? What the fuck? I shouldn't be surprised because this is the same script that has a scene where a chair fucks a microwave. Yeah, it's supposed to be funny because hello random chairs fucking a microwave. Oh, God. Like I said, I've forgotten how to laugh. All I can do is cry. Welcome to the funeral or the wake for comedy. Thank you for joining. Oh my god. Oh, yeah. And this is the same script that has a scene where the Mexican Hispanic maid, because she's mad at Dan for firing her, gives him a shit pie. And then gives him a shit banana. And I think it's a shit hot dog? I don't remember for sure if it was a shit hot dog or not, but I know there's a shit banana and there's a shit pie. And that's not surprising because everything is shit! This entire film is a shake or a smoothie that's just made out of various different kinds of shit. And then the only thing that you're given to drink out of is a straw that is also made out of shit. So you're sucking all this shit through a shit straw. That's Scary Movie 5 encapsulated. It's all shit. Everything is shit. So you also have, like I said, you got a Rise of the Planet of the Apes parody, Caesar, Talking Ape, smart, because Dan works at some company, and Terry Crews is there as his boss. And Terry Crews, I guess, was at the point in his career too where he needed all the money he could get. Maybe he had a mortgage he needed to pay off. Maybe he had some debts to some booker or bookie that he didn't have the money for. So fuck it, I'll debase myself and star in a little bit role in Scary Movie 5 with monkeys that literally throw shit. Because this movie is shit. It's like it knows it's shit. It's like it's self-aware. I don't even think David Zucker and Pat Proft wrote this. I think it was a piece of shit that became sentient. A piece of shit became sentient, took the same drug or whatever that made the monkey smart, and then wrote this screenplay. That's why everything stinks. So you have this sequence with Dan where he's constantly being harassed by the paranormal activity and he's trying to set up all these different cameras, and it's your typical lazy, beyond lame attempts at pratfalls and physical comedy. The guy doesn't have a genuine physical comedy bone in his entire fucking body. Stop trying to be a physical comedian. You don't know how to do it properly. You look like a fucking dumbass. And then you have a long extended fight with the Hispanic maid and Dan after he fires her. And once again, it uses a fast forward because the piece of shit that wrote this literally thinks that that's hilarious. Thinks that fast forwarding things by itself is funny. I wish I could just fast forward the entire fucking thing, so it'd be over with faster. Then you have like a Evil Dead parody with like a bunch of Bible thumpers who are at a cabin in the woods, and our two leads, well, not our two leads, you have Ashley Tisdale's character Jody and Kendra, played by Erica Ash, who is this stripper who decided to audition for the Swan Lake play that Jody's also trying to audition for. Sorry, man, just talking about this movie just makes me want to physically retch. It's like giving me serious, legitimate indigestion right now. I'm not fucking around. I'm being dead serious. Wouldn't be surprised by the end of this video, I'll just bloat like Mr. Creosote and then explode like in Life of Brian. Or The Meaning of Life. I think that's what it is. I think it actually is Life of Brian. Sorry, sorry. I would rather think of other movies. I'd rather just think about Monty Python films or literally any other fucking thing right now. So yeah, Kendra and Jody, they go to the cabin and they read from the book because it's an Evil Dead parody, and it's a parody of the Evil Dead remake. So you have the whole bit where the girl gets possessed and tries to cut her tongue. And then you have a bit later where she's like, oh my god, I cut my tongue, why did I do this? Because they keep fucking up Jodie and Kendra, and they keep reading the spell to stop the Evil Dead, and then they keep reading the spell to cause the people to be possessed again. And that in itself is supposed to be an absolute knee slapper. Oh, they're possessed. No, they're not possessed anymore. And there's other dumb shit like when they drove to the cabin, there's a shot of a toy car because now the movie's Stuart Little, or it's just supposed to be funny because lol random. Oh, and then there's one scene like where a chair fucks a microwave because Ashley Tisdale's character Jodie and Kendra make out. And there's the typical really just dumb, lazy types of jokes about women fucking. Oh, we got a taco. We break the taco. Or we ram tacos together. Get it? Because, tacos and pussies. And then there's a whole thing with the ape who stays with Dan, and the ape gets attacked by the entity mama, and the ape is trying to tell Dan and everybody what's actually going on, but Dan's a fucking dumbass and he's a dipshit, so he doesn't really want to listen to the ape. And then, they finally figure it out and put the clues together, and then they go to someplace, I think like a cliff, and then there's the mama monster, and there's a whole scene with the feral kid where she's acting like a dog, and they're doing the whole thing with toys and treats and be like, come here doggy, come here, me. And eventually the mama gets knocked off the fucking cliff. I'm surprised they didn't have some lame ass reference to like dinosaurs. That's how lame this movie is. I'm not surprised they didn't have a joke like, not the mama. I'm surprised they didn't fucking do that. Like, have a joke so many years too late where most people would be like, what the fuck was that? And then you'd have to know what Dinosaurs the TV show is to even get the joke, because most people wouldn't get it and would go over their head. Oh, and this film also had a montage of flashbacks of scenes that were supposedly laugh out loud hilarious. So funny you had to see them twice, like a baby that all of a sudden lights on fire. The feral girl who sticks something up her ass and smells it and then faints. Hilarious. Comedy gold. And then you find out that the fucking narrator, because there was a narrator too, because we needed that. The narrator is Caesar. Is the ape. And the ape sounds like a Morgan Freeman. Why? I have no fucking idea. Because they think it's funny just because it sounds like Morgan Freeman. Oh, and Jodie, she was going to be the Black Swan, but then she decides to quit and be with her family, so then Kendra gets the job. Like, you give a shit. And then, thankfully, mercifully, the movie is over. And the human centipede of shitty comedy is severed. And I could breathe again. But I'll never be the same. Oh my god. So yeah, it's 86 minutes, but it feels like 286 because the pacing is miserable and slow because there's nothing that is engaging. The plot isn't fun or interesting or enjoyable in any way. The comedy is some of the worst efforts at trying to make you laugh that you will ever see in this kind of genre. And there isn't even really anything else that can really draw you in or make you feel like this is something that's worth your while and not like you're being waterboarded with diarrhea. So, yeah, the direction, flat, looks like a TV movie. The screenplay, it's shit because it, like I said, it's written by a literal piece of shit. The music, once again, nothing worth a damn. The editing by Sam Sag. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in this film when it comes to the editing where you should have just edited the entire movie out. If I was the editor, I would have done something where I was like, oops, I lost it. I was editing it and then my computer got corrupted and it crashed and it erased the hard drive and well, we don't have the movie anymore. Sorry. I did you a favor. Make it a tax write-off. Cost $20 million. I don't know how. I don't see that budget anywhere on the screen. And the cast, I mean, Ashley Tisdale, she doesn't have any talent for this. She has no chemistry with anyone in the cast. Simon Rex, I hate Simon Rex. I hate him even more because he was a part of this movie. Why did he come back? Why did they even bring him back? He sucks. This film is bad enough. We don't need Simon Rex's non-existent comedic talents brought to this parade of putrid bile. Erica Ash, Gracie Whitton, I think it's played one of the girls. Kathy, Ava Kolker, Lily, Lidia Porto is Maria. The kids, I'm not gonna blame them. They're kids. That being said, they weren't really given a whole lot to work with. Uh, Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan. You've got Heather Locklear, who plays the mother of Jodie, who gives birth while she's doing the dance for the Black Swan, for Swan Lake. I already mentioned Mac Miller. You've got Jerry O'Connell in a 50 Shades of Grey parody that Mike Tyson is also in for some fucking reason. Katt Williams plays this guy who tries to exercise the house, but all he's doing is just draining people's bank accounts. There's a joke about him, I think, farting or something in his mask. I mean, what else is there to say about this movie? I mean, it's barely even a movie. It's not a comedy, because like I said, it doesn't make you laugh. It makes you want to cry. For the state of comedy. And for the fact that comedy is now dead. So, I don't really know what else to say about Scary Movie 5. Except, this film is a five-finger death fuck. And what do I mean by five-finger death fuck? It's a fist fuck from the creepy butler character from Scary Movie 2. With his fucked up hand. This whole movie, the experience of watching it is like Chris Elliott with that fucked up hand just sticking it right up there, right up your ass, over and over again, until his fucked up hand punches through your brain. And then he pulls your brain, pulls it right out of your asshole, and then chops it up into pieces and puts it right up there in the turkey, with the penises and the Chinese, and then resurrects your corpse and then feeds you that turkey with your brain in it and all this other fucked up shit with his fucked up hand. 5-finger death fuck.